Hello and welcome all the Web3 enthusiasts. This is Max speaking, and Synopsys is back after a short break and keep on bringing the real whales of the industry for you guys to know what's going on. So today I'm honored to host this podcast with CEO of DYDX Foundation, Charles Ducey. Hello, Charles. How are you today?
Very good morning. Very excited to be on the show. Looking forward to the conversation.
We have a bunch of questions prepared, so there will be a lot of things to discuss. And recently, the YDX Foundation released the 2020-24 ecosystem report, reviewing the roadmap for 2025. So this is going to be the main thing we're going to discuss today. Also, we'll speak about your successes and lessons learned from the past year and your vision for the upcoming 2025. So it's still January, and we have time to discuss the expectation and the last year's results. So let's get straight to the action and shoot these questions. So to begin with, the first thing I would like to know, what do you, Charles, consider the top achievement of DYDX in 2024?
So 2024 was a very big year for the DYDX ecosystem overall. Late 2023, the DYDX chain was launched. So the genesis of the DYDX chain happened in November, December 2023. So 2024 was really about solidifying the DYDX chain, making sure all the upgrades required were implemented, making sure the performance was fine-tuned, and eventually that was a big success. The number of validators is more than 60 different validators running the chain successfully. Very high performance, very fast block time, less than 1 second. So that was a very big first mission. Very quickly, the teams around the YDX chain were able to essentially focus on the performance of the protocol itself. So 2024 recorded 270 billion US dollar of trading volume on the YDX, so a great year. Just out of Genesis, the chain was essentially performing very well from the get-go. We've seen a migration from all the users on the DYDX chain, and the numbers just being here showing that the product market fit remains, and the new infrastructure built by the DYDX community for the DYDX users is very much in high demand. So high volume of trading and the number of token holders also is a very good signal for us that a lot of the initiatives in terms of marketing, in terms of community building, in terms of events have been paying off. So we went with an extra 40,000 plus DYDX token holders, reaching 53,000 DYDX token holders. So that's a great signal and kind of confirmation that the project remain top of mind and people are really being part of this project via owning the token, via staking the token, via using the token. So that's also a very strong, I would say, signal from us. The activity, the volume, and the number of users around. If you look at the volume and if you want to double click on the volume of the DYDX chain, and maybe as a reminder, DYDX is one of the leading DeFi protocol. It's a DEX, essentially focusing only on perpetual. So it's a futures contract only. And if we look at the open interest, if we look at the TVL on the chain itself, it's also great numbers. So the open interest increased by more than 100% during the year of 2024, and the TVL has reached 400 million on the chain. So it means that really the migration went very well, and this is a very big highlight of 2024.
Yeah, sounds awesome. And the big numbers we have here. And being one of those DYDX token holders, really happy to hear these statistics. So yeah, moving on, we'll discuss a little bit more about the DYDX chain a little bit later. For now, getting back to 2024, so could you please tell us what is the most valuable lesson you learned in 2024?
There are many, many lessons, and we keep learning every day. And I would say every month there is new topics we deal with and new lessons. Probably if we take kind of the bird view and look at the past 12 months, I think communicating about the roadmap, communicating about the intention of the different teams, making sure that everyone is aligned and aware of where the protocol is moving forward, what are the next steps, is something which very quickly we kind of do too fast or sometimes even forget. But the community is very, very large. So it's important to emphasize, and I think one lesson I get from this year of 2024 is having a communication planning prepared in advance, 12 months ahead, saying every month we're going to communicate about technical progress, commercial progress, token economics progress, rather than waiting for news to come up. I think it's a very big lesson because the community of DYDX is just massive. People are scattered all over the world, and making sure that the messaging comes to them is very important. Relying only on Twitter, for example, Twitter is a great platform. It is also a very noisy and very busy platform. So we need to make sure we kind of adjust and change format and adjust and explore new channels. So communications about the progress, communications about the directions is helping a lot of the coordination works, which have to happen around the decentralized protocol. And I think also maybe one of the big lessons is it's the whole recipe of open source software. When DYDX launched this upgrade of DYDX called DYDX Unlimited, what essentially the protocol did was to essentially enable users to list by themselves new markets. And by building a very strong recipe and giving the tools to the users to shape and animate the protocol by deciding how they want to trade, what do they want to trade, was essentially a very good engagement tool and a kind of user adoption magic wand, so to say, that giving power to users is really highly rewarding. Users come and express feedback on the product. They use the product the way they want, and it gives a very, very interesting feedback loop for the engineering and for the people involved in designing and delivering various options and features around DYDX. So communication as well as letting users use the product the way they want. I think it's two really very important lessons we got at least at the DYDX Foundation from 2024. DeFi is designed to give power to the users. And when you give powers to the users very quickly, very early, you get rewarded with a lot of feedback, a lot of adoption. And that's what was achieved in 2024 at DYDX.
Well, that's just awesome. And I would say that it's extremely valuable to hear that they highlight the importance of community and communication with the community, because users and community first, for sure. And this is the thing that unfortunately is missed by many big projects. And great to hear that you pay so much attention for that. And from my side, I give it a big
pay attention to it, but we can still improve a lot. That's
Yeah.
what I'm sharing with the team, because there is so many things to communicate about. There is so many people to communicate with that it's good to keep this top of mind, but we still have much space to improve.
Absolutely. So 100% agree here. And besides Synopsys, our team is also focused on community management and community building. And I would say that it's super valuable to hear that the projects like you, leading project like DYDX Foundation, is focused on this direction so much. That's cool. And I believe that for your listeners, it brings a lot of positive. And yeah, moving on to the next question. Could you please tell us what is the most popular trading pair of 2024 on DYDX? So we heard the big numbers, trading volumes. Would be interesting to know what is the most popular tradable pair.
Absolutely. Maybe before giving you like the top coins being traded on DYDX, I can just explain what is exactly the perpetuals and the derivative exchange kind of industry. So in crypto trading, you have two different families of products, if I simplify things. People will be buying and selling spot. So they really buy and sell Bitcoin, they really buy and sell Ethereum or Solanas, and then they will receive the Sol token or the ETH token in exchange. So this is the spot business. So when you go to Uniswap or when you go to the main venue at Binance, you're buying spot. So the spot industry is the most simple to approach for users. But besides the spot industry, there is another subset of the trading, crypto trading industry, which is called the derivatives. And the derivative industry, many people kind of don't really understand the importance of this subset of the industry. Crypto derivatives are 10 times larger in daily trading volumes than spot. So it's a pattern we find also in the equity market. So essentially, derivatives are very important for liquidity in the market, for price discovery. They are exactly the product which DYDX is focusing on. So it's important to think that within the trading and within the DeFi kind of trading industry, one market is 10 times bigger than the other, and it's crypto derivative. And this is exactly what DYDX focuses on. So DYDX offers perps, perpetuals. Perps stands for perpetuals. And what perpetuals are is essentially perpetuals are futures contracts, future swap contracts. So you can essentially express your opinion. For example, you have a conviction that Bitcoin will grow in value over the next few days or the next few months. You can essentially buy a futures contract and going long Bitcoin, and possibly if you decide to take some leverage as well. So essentially try to amplify your opinion by, if you think Bitcoin is going to increase, you go long with 2x, 3x, 5x or more kind of leverage. So DYDX is really focusing on this market, the perps market. The perps products have been very popular since 2018 or so. They've been made popular by BitMEX out of Hong Kong at the time. And this is what DYDX focuses on. Within the DYDX most popular markets, I will say it's the usual suspect. The usual suspect will be, for example, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana. But then you've got some kind of sparks of activities around meme coins. So we've seen a lot of activity around the Trop token recently. DYDX also has launched back in 2024 a new type of product, which was essentially a prediction market wrapped around a derivative contract. So think of Polymarket, but with leverage and Polymarket being able to express your opinion on one Polymarket prediction, either long or short. So giving much more granularity into the opinion traders can express on the market. So we find the same kind of big trends we find in the industry. We find them as well on DYDX, but I will say 10x more in terms of volumes and level of activity by nature of the derivative markets.
Wow, awesome. So thanks for this explanation and a pretty detailed answer. And one thing to go deeper from here. So a little bit about your users and a little bit popular trading assets. So the 2024 and the 2025 are actually associated with a boom of meme coins and AI related assets. So the question is, so are meme coins and AI related assets popular among your users, or there is something more fundamental?
So users of DYDX are essentially traders. So they keep a very close eye on all kind of new activity within the crypto industry and all kind of new tokens coming up. So that's an interesting question. So of course, meme coin have been doing very well on DYDX. It has been doing even better on DYDX than on centralized exchanges, I would say, because DYDX offers this capability to list on demand new assets by the user. So users can launch new market by themselves. So this kind of instant listing feature, which is very unique to DYDX, has enabled users to very quickly seeing an opportunity with a new token and being able to list and create this market on DYDX. A little bit like you can create your own market on Uniswap for spot. You can create your own market very quickly on DYDX for the perps market. So the meme coin has been doing very well. Recently, the AI related coins have been also doing very well. But the interesting thing on AI is we find out, and we've been somehow supporting with documentation and with permissionless aspect of DYDX, we've been able to essentially host on the protocol some AI trading agent. And it's a very unique opportunity for AI trading agent. AI trading agents can be on Twitter and speak about things, but they get much more interesting when those AI agents can go and trade and develop some trading strategies. But if you think about it, an AI agent cannot be KYC'd on Coinbase. An AI agent cannot open an account on Binance because they're not humans. And those platforms are centralized platforms and they require a KYC. And they're not ready for what we call KYM, know your machine. It's not possible for AI agents yet. So the AI agents are essentially a new trend. I think it's going to grow and keep growing exponentially, but they are also kind of the first users of DEX, which have no choice but to use DEX by the nature of being an AI agent. So we've seen a few AI agents asking questions on Twitter on how to connect to DYDX. They've been reading by themselves the documentation, and because DYDX is pure DeFi, it's permissionless. So the AI agents, some AI agents have been trading on DYDX. So it's very fascinating, I think, for the community of DYDX to think. Of course, the hedge funds are on DYDX. Of course, the largest global market makers are using DYDX for their trading activities. Of course, we have retail users and sophisticated users, but a new category of users appeared on DYDX in 2024, and those are the AI trading agents. Because DYDX is permissionless, DYDX is well documented, and they can come and trade on DYDX without having to identify themselves the same way they will need on a centralized exchange, for example.
Well, a very interesting concept and newly appeared category of traders. But what about if we, just for now, put this aside, and could you say if there is any statistics who are your users? So are these whales or retail or maybe some parts of that?
Absolutely. So we have only so much statistics about the users. DYDX being an open and decentralized platform, people will not say, "Hey, I'm Max, and this is my wallet." So we have very kind of advanced AML capabilities within the protocol. But we can identify some wallets are bigger than others. We can identify some wallets have very dynamic kind of trading patterns. So we can imagine those kind of wallets are high frequency trading firms, for example. Some other wallets will be having trading patterns which looks much more like a human, trading more slowly and more thoughtfully. So the vast majority of the trading on the DYDX protocol is happening via API. That's very important. So 80% of the trading volume on DYDX happens via API. So what this means is people kind of trading with API are sophisticated users. They will be either whales or they will be very active traders. There will be people building bots, for example, or they will be just trading firms like large market makers or institutions or hedge funds, which will come and do some arbitrage between CeFi and DeFi, do some hedging strategies or basis trade strategies using the API. So the vast majority, I would say, of the users of DYDX qualify as what we call sophisticated users. DYDX is not for my sister or my cousins. It's not the kind of DeFi protocol which is for newbies. You want to be a little bit experienced with trading and being able to understand how derivatives are working and how trading strategies happen within the derivative. So that's what we can say. 80% is coming via API, so most likely firms and sophisticated teams, and 20% are sophisticated retail users, which are coming with maybe sometimes they use the web interface, sometimes they use the mobile phone interface. There are some DYDX apps on Android as well as Apple. So a big variety of user profile, but overall all of them are sophisticated.
Well, awesome. I like how you managed to extract so much information from such a kind of a small question, and thanks for that. Pretty interesting image of your user we have now. So one more thing I'd like to discuss before we move to the blog of 2025. So uh, could you tell us a little bit more about the DYDX chain? So what was the reason actually behind launching DYDX chain and how it has been operated? So if I get it right, all the unchained trading on DYDX is happening on DYDX chain actually.
Absolutely. So DYDX is an OG project, as we say. And that's very important in our space. There is a lot of newcomers, there is a lot of new and shiny projects. And then there are the OGs, the projects which are here, which have been weathering many storms and many bull and bear markets and still exist and still keep growing. And DYDX is one of those projects, really OG and trusted over the years by users. So DYDX started in 2018. DYDX has been one of the early users of layer 2s as well. The version of DYDX on Ethereum was built on top of Starkware and was one of the most active layer 2 at the time. At some point, there was some kind of frustration for the engineers around DYDX, finding that actually a layer 1 or any layer 2 was not having enough bandwidth to support the level of activity of DYDX. DYDX, it's millions of transactions every day. It's high frequency transactions. It's an order book type of venue. So a lot of actions are happening constantly via API, via end users, and no chain in the world is capable to support on-chain this level of activity. So historically, the Ethereum version of DYDX was hosting the order book, which is very much the trading engine, off-chain on an AWS server. So that was the kind of the first chapter of DYDX. But at some point, the engineers around DYDX decided to be very clear about their identity and the identity of the project. You need to be clear, are you a DeFi project or are you a CeFi project? If you sit between these two identities, eventually you're going to hit a wall. You're going to fail. You need to be clear. So as soon as the technology was enabling engineers to be much more opinionated and clear about the identity of DYDX, which has been from day one DeFi, but the technology was only enabling so much DeFi within DYDX. As soon as the technology was available, essentially the engineers decided to say, okay, we don't want to be sitting on the top of a general purpose blockchain, which is hosting all kind of use cases. We need to build the Formula One blockchain only for the DYDX use case, which is trading derivatives. So after some research, they decided to go with the Cosmos SDK. So DYDX chain is built with the Cosmos SDK, which is a very stable and very high performance stack to build your own app chain. And DYDX has been building an app chain. So essentially an app chain is a chain which is designed and optimized only for one use case, for one application. It's not a blockchain to do NFTs plus data availability plus DeFi plus this plus that. It's no more kind of a Swiss Army knife doing everything so-so. It's a Formula One for trading. And this is exactly what is the DYDX chain. So it was launched at the end of 2023. 2024 really showed like all the performance and the really how the full stack experience enable more features, more token economics revamp, more performance, and essentially having a better identity. So that's really how the DYDX chain has enabled essentially to get the full flow of a trade happening on chain. So technically, the DYDX chain is a very fast chain, one block per second. And the order book, which requires to be even faster than one block per second, the order book is sitting on the RAM memory of the validators. So validators on the DYDX chain are very, very special and very best in class, I will say. They have two jobs. The first job is to verify and mint new blocks for the DYDX chain, very common task, which many are doing, usually beyond Solana, Ethereum, or any chain you can think of. But on DYDX, a validator has a second job. They are essentially hosting in the RAM memory of the validators, not the hard drive, the RAM memory. The RAM memory is way faster than the hard drive memory. And they are hosting all of them, the 60 active validators, hosting essentially a copy which they constantly update with one another of the order book. So technically, the order book of DYDX is decentralized, but it's not on-chain. If the order book was on-chain, essentially the speed of the transaction and the speed of price updates, for example, on the order book will be too slow. 1 second in the world of DYDX is equivalent of 6 hours in our human life. 1 second, a lot of things are happening in 1 second on DYDX because there are so many different type of activity and orders and cancellation and replacement of orders and order matching and settlement. So this migration to the own DYDX blockchain has allowed to improve the performance, improve the decentralization, improve the neutrality of the chain as well. You don't have an order book sitting on someone AWS server. It's an order book which is visible and transparent to everyone. And overall, also changing the token economics. The DYDX token on Ethereum was a governance-only token. The DYDX on the token on the DYDX chain is a utility token. So people are able to stake the DYDX token if they decide to, and receive some rewards for that in the form of USDC. So building the full stack of DYDX has been very much a game changer. And what is, I think, something to pay attention to, another giant in the world of DeFi, that project called Uniswap, decided a few months after DYDX, seeing that this kind of initiative of building your own DeFi chain was successful for DYDX. Uniswap announced a few months after us that they are launching also their own chain, the Unichain, right? So it's a good illustration that historically DYDX has been very much a trailblazer, showing the way for many, and also having a very bold opinion about how your project should be designed for lasting over the years, and also how you can enable the technology and taking a level of risk, but taking a risk which are essentially enabling your product to its next generation.
Well, super detail, and thanks for that. Great statistics you have here illustrated, and we can admire that. And you already reached high peaks, and we'll see how it goes in 2025. And from this point, I think we can start discussing actually expectation for this year that has just begun. So could you please share where is, from your opinion, of course, the on-chain derivatives trading is heading in 2025?
So the overall derivative industry, as we mentioned before, is 10 times bigger than spots. So it's very important industry, and keeping an eye on it is critical for everyone. Today's, I would say 98 to 95% of the crypto derivative trading volume still happens on centralized exchanges. It's just more comfortable for traders. It's easier. They go and trade on a centralized database, and most of the volume are still on centralized exchanges. About 2 to 5% of the global derivative trading volumes are happening on-chain. So let's take the assumption that today maybe 3% of the global trading volume of derivative is happening on-chain. As I said, there are two markets in trading, the spot market and the derivative market. And if we want to kind of imagine what could be the futures of derivative market, we can look at what has been the trajectory for the spot market. And the spot market, mostly led by Uniswap or CowSwap, the spot market has migrated away from centralized exchanges quite quickly. Today, about 15%, 15%, of the global spot trading volumes are happening on-chain. And the derivative market, only 5% of the global trading volumes are happening on-chain. So we have a gap here of about 10%. How long is going to take to catch up? I cannot guess, but I would say fairly quickly, probably within 18 months to 36 months, we're going to catch up, and essentially more and more volumes will be happening on-chain. Why? Because the offering, because the performance of the on-chain crypto derivative protocol are improving. So there is more and more protocols, more and more liquidity, better and better experience. The other point also why these accelerations of migration away from centralized exchanges to decentralized exchanges for crypto perps is also the fact that many centralized exchanges are in a global race to acquire licenses. And when those centralized exchanges get a license in a new country, most of the time it's only for spot. So what it means for the users of that country is suddenly their centralized exchange, maybe Coinbase, Binance, or someone else, they used to be doing on that exchange, centralized exchange, lending, futures, and spot trading. That exchange get a license. The license is only for spot. Over a week time, they cannot use this exchange for spot trading, for futures trading anymore or lending. So it basically kind of every new license forces users to migrate to DeFi. So this is a very strong dynamic and very strong support for the DeFi industry in general, and even more for the crypto perps that many centralized exchanges are getting licenses, and those licenses are mostly only for spot, which basically accelerates the migration to DeFi, to on-chain trading of crypto derivative. So I think the industry is going in this direction very much. Accelerations of the volumes on-chain for crypto derivatives, but also I think the distribution of crypto derivative will also change very much. What we've seen in the spot market, but we haven't seen so far that much in the derivative market, is that most of the applications are becoming essentially protocols. And what I mean by that is the distribution of a Web3 product I think is kind of changing before our eyes. And people will more and more use DeFi without connecting to the DeFi website of the app. They will be consuming DeFi within a custodian, within a wallet, within a super app, for example, which will essentially facilitate for them the access to these apps. So I think the derivative market, and we are working on this with the DYDX Foundation team, is to essentially we'll see a big shift in the way it's distributed. Less people will access directly to the apps, and more people will access to the protocol via their wallet, via their super apps, via an aggregator, for example. And we've seen that in the traditional finance world, where a lot of the financial products are distributed by some kind of hubs, some kind of aggregators, such as Robinhood or maybe your bank, which is distributing to you lending products, access to stock exchange, access to different FX market. And it's way easier for users to access the variety of product via this kind of product hubs rather than going to each product one another. And if you look at how people are consuming the crypto today, crypto products in general, is they have to go to one shop after another. And it's something which is not intuitive for users. So I believe very strongly that crypto products are not distributed in an optimal way today, and this will change and must change very quickly so that we position the crypto product on the right shelves and we bring the DeFi product to the users at the opposite of trying to bring users to the DeFi product. That's a very different thing, but I think it's fundamental.
Well, so you have a very clear vision for the upcoming trends, and we see that you have it for a reason. For sure, we'll be tracking how it goes and where the industry is heading to. So let's see how the year results for the entire industry, and let's keep on building the best future for that. Modern N and more questions about 2025. So what milestones are set by DYDX Foundation for this year?
So the DYDX Foundation has been involved in a lot of the promotion of the protocol, right? Making sure that the market understands what is the value proposition of DYDX and make sure the brand is as visible as possible. So the team at the DYDX Foundation for 2025 is already at work on keep growing the brand of DYDX and making sure that it reaches more and more users and more markets. So that's number one, is keep growing the mind share of the brand and keep growing the mind share of the protocol. On the distribution side, which you understand is a topic very close to my heart, there are a lot of initiatives ongoing right now, which people will start to see results in the coming weeks about how the DYDX will be better distributed and more accessible and more easily. As I mentioned before, people will keep having access to DYDX directly connecting to dydx.trade, for example. But I believe in the coming weeks, we're going to start to see DYDX available in major mobile phone wallet for crypto, in major applications, in major app stores for crypto products. So distribution is also a very strong part of the agenda for the DYDX Foundation team. So keep growing the brand as well as growing and enhancing the distribution of DYDX.
Cool. So wish you best of luck, and actually, I believe everything will be achieved without any wishes from my side, but still. So making some kind of bridge of what has been discussed before about your users and the image of the average trader of DYDX. So as you mentioned, DYDX is not for a sister or for cousins, so maybe it's gonna change in the nearest future. So the question is as follows. So could you tell us what user stratum will you be focused on 2025?
So users should expect more markets. The DYDX trade anything vision has been executed already, and we keep executing on that. So we added more than 150 new markets on the DYDX protocol as a community in 2024. So more markets, faster, put into the hands of the users if they decide to trade. So that's very important. High velocity and more markets being tradable. The second part, maybe, which people can expect, is DYDX coming to them rather than them coming to DYDX. And the third part is in terms of product. We've seen some team and some people building, and we are very grateful for all these conversations happening on the DYDX forum or on the DYDX Discord, where essentially, since DYDX is permissionless, people can build on DYDX very easily. So we're starting to see trading bots community starting to trade on DYDX. But there is also a project which will be essentially enabling trading via very simple and simplified kind of strategies, a little bit like trading, like swap trading. Essentially, having an ID of a trade coming your way with a very nice illustration, and you being able to decide, yes, I believe in this ID, and I'm gonna trade this ID for $1, $10, whatever amount you want. So the goal of this team is to essentially think some users want to have a very complex and very granular interface with a lot of graphics and so many different types of order types. But there is also a growing demand on the market for very simplified perps. Which comes with a very simple ID. So you can imagine, for example, a card coming on your mobile phone screen saying, okay, maybe Bitcoin will reach 100,000 and 100K maybe next week. And then you can say, yes, I agree with that, and I agree like two times more on this one. I'm happy to take leverage 2 times more. Or maybe Ethereum will reach 4K by the end of the month. So trying to essentially gamify and simplify the experience around the perps product. I believe perps are fundamental to the crypto industry. The industry will be so different if there was no perps, so they are very important. But I believe that there is opportunities for consuming perps in very different ways for very different audience, even though it started and it's strongly embedded into the sophisticated user group. I think more and more people will be exposed to perps and the derivative market into much more fun and light and playful ways via just changing the interface and taking decisions on simplifying the choices so people can use it more.
Absolutely. So what I heard mostly is that the main focus and the main goals for 2025 are the growth and all the directions, and we'll be tracking this closely for sure. And seen where the DYDX Foundation goes. So hopefully we'll discuss it soon, some intermediate results at least. And for now, we came up to the final traditional part of our podcasts. Could you please share, Charles, some piece of advice with our audience? So it might be some call to action, some piece of advice, some ideas, expectations, things you would like to reach people's minds. So whatever you think is valuable, go ahead, please.
Sure. Maybe for the audience, if you are a user of DYDX or a crypto trader in general, maybe one advice I will share with people is before jumping on your screens and keyboards is try to put on paper what is your strategy. Everyone have a different strategy. Everyone have different expectations. Everyone have different risk appetite. So I really invite everyone to really think deeply and being honest about your risk appetite, number one, and what is exactly your strategy. The most successful traders I got to meet are extremely clear about why they are on the market, which part of the market they want to be active on, and how they want to trade those markets. You will be surprised how focused and religiously focus on their strategies they are. They don't jump, they don't work so much with their emotions. They really follow a plan. So I think that's very important. And maybe an extension of that is why are you in crypto? Are you in crypto because you want to experience the adrenaline of the markets and the adrenaline of the industry overall? There is so many things happening every day. Are you in crypto to make some positive impact on your personal life? Try to be as clear as possible also, so you can spend your time and reset your focus and reset your attention on things and actions which will support your initial plan. So that's really about trying to be more clear on why are you in our industry. Everyone have his own reasons, and we should respect all those reasons. But I just invite everyone to be clear and spend time to kind of pause and pay attention to that. And if you want to discover more about DYDX, I really invite you to connect to the DYDX ecosystem via Twitter at DYDX. The DYDX forum at dydx.forum is also a great place where many conversations are starting. But you can find also the DYDX apps on the Apple Store as well as Android Store. And also you can connect to the application of DYDX on dydx.trade. There is also maybe one last thing I'd like to mention is the Megavolt. The Megavolt is a liquidity engine within the DYDX ecosystem. So even though you feel you're not ready for trading, or maybe trading perps is something which is not for you, there is this new feature within the DYDX protocol where essentially you can park your USDCs, and these USDCs will be used to bring liquidity to the order book on more than 150 different trading pairs. And these kind of trading strategies generate some yield, and users can get between 10 to 20% of yield, depending on the trading volumes. This yield is changing every day and every hour, depending on the activity on the chain. But it's a good way for you to get an exposure to the crypto derivative market without having to constantly monitor your positions and your trading strategy. So think of DYDX as, I would say, a plain user, but think of DYDX also maybe as a potentially, if you decide to yield opportunity by essentially parking your USDCs in the Megavolt of DYDX.
Well, thank you very much, Charles. What you say is very valuable, and I really believe that the first part of your advice might seem addressed to newbies, but I believe that a lot of experienced traders, at least people who think themselves to be such, so you guys should really think of resolving this question for yourself and having the clear strategy. And for now, that's it. A very fruitful, I would say, conversation, really insightful. And I believe that everyone will be happy to see you, Charles, in more episodes. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I look forward to the next episodes from the other guests and look forward to see you also at Synopsis events.
Awesome. And thanks for our viewers for watching us till the end, guys. Stay tuned, take care, and do your research, and keep an eye on DYDX, and be educated and try some new projects. So thanks for everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone.